It's the podcast that Sly Serpent warned you about.
Welcome to Biting All the Apples, where two gals discuss one radical book.
The 1895 bestseller, The Women's Bible by Elizabeth Cady Stanton.
A Bible, you say?
But I'm not that religious.
Not into Bibles.
That's sacrilegious.
We say hold that thought, or all those thoughts. Thoughts are good, and we need thinkers. And we need thinkers just like Elizabeth Cady Stanton.
That's right. The Women's Bible is an academic, political, and philosophical examination of the Anglo-European version of the Bible that we all know. It's one that propagates a false notion that women are naturally, even divinely subservient to men.
That hurts.
The result has been generations of women raised to believe that male dominance is natural, even ordained by the Word of God. Both history and biblical scholars tell us that this is not the case by a long shot.
We know that women have led societies, have fought in wars, have gathered and hunted, have given birth to 100% of the children. Well, maybe 99.9%, because there has been some weird things that have happened in the world.
Test tubes.
Test tube babies. So why then is the Bible presented as an answer to why women have less rights, less say in our lives?
It makes no sense. Whether or not you are religious, if you live in a modern Western society, your life is affected by this biased, crusty old biblical interpretation. As we are experiencing the infiltration of Christian fundamentalism in our political leadership today, it is more important than ever to look at how this foundational text has been misinterpreted to award power to men.
It just so happens that a brilliant woman, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, did that for us already with the help of theologians and scholars over 100 years ago. Over 100 years.
I know. I love reading things at the same time.
Yes! Mind blown. Mind blown.
Believe it. Biting All the Apples is going to walk you through the Women's Bible. Each episode will discuss a section of the book. You'll be amazed at how relevant and witty it is. And, of course, how witty and relevant we are.
Of course, because we are. I'm Joanna V.
And I'm Sara Kaye.
And we are not professional historians, but we are history enthusiasts who are very stoked to have you on this discovery journey with us.
I love a journey.
Isn't it great?
I know. This journey's beginning with this here intro episode. We're going to tell you a bit about ourselves, then shower praise, admiration, adoration, and some tough historical truths about Elizabeth Cady Stanton and the work that she did that led her to the Women's Bible, the final project of her life as an activist and philosopher. We'll weave in some information from the intro of the book and let you know where you can grab a copy so that you can follow along and even contribute in the coming weeks.
And just so you know, you can get it for free and follow us along. And you don't have to go fast. You can go slow with us. But first, a few disclaimers. Biting All the Apples covers analysis of religious text. Some listeners that are religious out of the need for the illusion of certainty may find our content offensive. It's not meant to be that way, but different beliefs can cause you to feel that way. Biting All the Apples also discusses historic texts and feminist movements. We recognize that individuals, groups, and alternative movements have been left out of history. We will note that whenever possible. We are open to additional information provided to us in the spirit of expanding knowledge, because that's how we ended up here.
That's right. We're here to expand knowledge. That's what we're here. Is that why you're here?
That is why I'm here, because I need to know things, and I'm very stoked about this. And you're the one that led me here, my love.
That's right.
I love it.
I know. So tell me a little bit about yourself, Joanna.
Well, I'm just a small town girl living in a lonely world. I am a 50-year-old woman who is living in this world and reconnected with my friend Sara Kaye. And of course, we were commiserating around life, and out of nowhere came this Women's Bible. We take a look at it, and I'm blown away. And then here we are together, old friends made new with a new purpose.
I like that you're like out of nowhere.
I mean, it was.
this Bible.
To me, it was. I think you knew about it, but I was blown away that this was 100 years old, and I feel like it's fresh and new and exciting.
I love it.
I am. I'm like, it raised my energy level, and I feel like everyone needs to know about it.
It's just so relevant. That is why we're here.
Yeah.
You're talking to two. Well, you're not talking. People are listening to
us.
us talking.
Yes.
You're talking to. We're old childhood friends.
Yeah. Known each other our whole lives. Met in a church, by the way. So, I mean, it's not like we didn't have that background. We grew up in the church. You know, moms and dads hung out at the church dances. And we grew up with this teaching. And to read that it was questioned before us, you know, over 100 years before us is amazing.
So I did the thing where I'm like, let me look for this quote. Nope.
Oh, you got
I
a
have it in
quote?
here. Nope, I don't. I don't have a quote. Cut that out.
Dang it. But yes, we are here to expand knowledge. And I think people are going to love this. I think people are going to be as blown away as I was when I was like, how have I missed this? And I'm a reader. You're a reader. You know?
I stack books by my bed.
Right? Just to make me feel safe.
Yeah, that's how much of a reader I am. Well, I think the biggest thing is just how much this fairy tale still affects our lives today.
It's everywhere. And it's even more so now in the last, 15 years. I feel like the Bible has become omnipresent in everybody's life here in America.
Yeah, Elizabeth would not be excited about that at all.
No, I know, because of all this work she did, and to have it left in the background in the Library of Congress and not brought out to the world. I mean, it's sent at least to all the women of the world.
No, and that's what we're just doing our duty.
We're doing our duty. We're doing our duty to expand the knowledge of all the women that this Bible is not. It isn't complete. It wasn't complete.
It's not that it wasn't complete.
Okay, it was complete, but it wasn't interpreted fully to include women.
But here's the thing. The reason that it surprised me, I don't think, where did I hear about this? Oh, it was because my sister had a better, college women's studies class. And she was like, well, have you ever heard of this book, The Women's Bible? And that's where I heard of it. Didn't, get it in my public school education. But I had no idea that somebody had laid this all out and had taken the Bible and I keep on saying cut it up. I'm like looking at you. I'm like,
but
what is
focused on women. And because, I grew up, like I said, in the Catholic Church. And I always wondered, like, why can't women be priests? Why can't women do this? I don't understand because I'm a woman, so where is my place in this? Am I just going to suffer? And it just seemed like there wasn't a lot for free thinkers as women.
There's no room for questioning.
Yes.
That's really it. So the Women's Bible is a project where she got a bunch of theologians and scholars. Is it theologians?
Theologians? I don't know. I don't know how you say it.
I don't know how you say it.
We're not historians.
I'll tell you how they say it.
We're not historians.
I'll tell you how they say it in Michigan.
How they say
theologians.
Theologians.
How I just said it.
Theologians. We're Michiganders. They all came together to look at the Bible because she was fighting for women's rights. And the thing that was stopping them in getting rights and getting equal treatment in society was the Bible. It kept being thrown in their faces, like, this is the Bible. And I'll tell you, Elizabeth was she was a spiritual woman. She is a believer and loved the Bible. But she was like, something's wrong.
Something's happening here.
And they did stuff to change that. And obviously it was a banger of a book if it was a bestseller.
7 printings.
7 printings.
7 printings.
So these 22 women got together. I counted them. There might have been more. 22 women, though, are listed in the book as editors. And she said, go through the Bible. We're all going to go through the Bible. We're going to look for any mention of women or where women could be included in the Bible and they're not. And we're going to dissect it and figure out what the real story is and connect it to other civilizations even, right? We've been through a little bit more of the Bible than you have, obviously, because you're just learning about it. But you'll see that they take out portions. And if you go on the Library of Congress, you can see they just cut it out of the Bible and they talked about it and discussed it and said, what is the real message here that was trying to be implied?
Right, because the whole point was that who interpreted those stories.
And it couldn't have been women because they weren't allowed to do anything.
Because it kind of favors fellas.
Yeah.
That's the deal. Like, I'm not selling this Bible, but that's okay.
I know.
I'm not doing it. I don't know where I got.
You got to sell the Bible.
I'm trying. No, what
It's
we're
the
getting
whole
to.
thing.
We're got to get into the fangirl part of.
Yes.
Yeah. So where we really shine, obviously, I didn't shine in talking about my own background or
Yeah, you
church
talk about
stories.
your own.
I'm like, I can't. I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. No.
It's funny because we grew up together.
We did.
Right? Had the same basic environment.
That's right. Same.
Totally different view of religion when we were young. Like you questioned things right away, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I did not. I'm in it to win it. And it was my anchor and my safety, which as I got older is when I started questioning things like, why are there only male priests? And because we were Catholic, obviously. Other religions have women, but
Yeah, that bugged me early on. That, and I also think I just was really not into lambs.
no.
And there's a lot of lamb imagery.
There was a lot of lambs. See,
They're
and I
very
love
spooky.
that. Oh, see, I love lambs. I love shepherds. I love lambs. I love angels. Big fan of angels.
I did love the church that we went to.
Yeah.
Had a giant 30-foot Jesus.
Yes, and the ceiling had all the wood,
Mm-hmm.
and I did. Yeah, I liked the repetition.
Yeah.
I don't know, the routine.
I was always like, who are these jokers?
Never
no-
entered my mind. It was just like what I did, and the Word of God. I thought was the Word of God written, and when I got older, I was like, oh, God, I don't think he wrote stuff like everything I've learned about him. So it must have been people, and of course, it would have to be men because women weren't smart enough.
They just didn't know.
They didn't know how to write.
But it wasn't written in English either. It wasn't originally.
Well, yeah. So I remember
Hebrew?
being much older and learning that the Torah is actually the Old Testament. And my mind was blown there, right?
Yeah.
Mind blown. Oh, it's the same book. How can this be? Jesus was a Jew. I didn't even know that. That was mind blowing to me. These are things that I learned as an adult when I started looking into things as my own. I mean, I knew he was, but they crucified him and they went after him. But he was actually the best Jew there was.
I'm liking this summary. We're like, and so they crucified him. They went after him. It was weird. So,
Yeah.
anyways, I'm bringing it back
What's
to
weird?
you.
What's weird?
But I think it's important. That's why we roll back. We got to talk a little bit about who, Liz. She wouldn't.
You're going to call her Liz.
I'm
No.
not going to call her Liz. You're like, don't do that.
Don't do that. You can call her Cady.
Because she didn't write this women's Bible because she was like, I don't dig, religion anymore. She actually was quite religious, and she was raised.
1,000% religious.
She,
Yeah.
was, she was raised 1,000% religious. It was a thing back then.
Well, and
They
she
were like-
was a believer that and still is, I'm sure. I'm sure to her dying day, believed in the church, believed in being a good person for God and all of that, but still was like, but wait a minute, why am I not as important
Right.
as my husband?
Yeah, and how is this thing that has been interpreted?
Yeah, because
Because many languages, they're like, how is this the word of God? That doesn't even make any sense.
it doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make any sense.
And she luckily had a husband who supported that. He was like, yeah, that is weird. I have full faith in you. You're a brilliant woman. She even changed the words of her marriage. Did you know that? To make it more equal because she didn't want to be subservient when she got married. They were young. They decided, yeah, no, we're a partnership. We're doing this together. And that's way progressive.
that's how hip she is.
That's how hip she is.
I think that's the thing that blows my mind the most about all this, because you go back and read it, and I don't know what I thought people were like back in the Victorian era, but I'm like, that is really progressive.
Yes.
I thought they were just,
So much progressiveness. I
I was like,
either.
I thought they just cross-stitched all the time.
That's right. I was busy doing the dishes and feeding the kids. But no.
Oh,
I mean, her cousin talked about vegetarianism. I'm like, I thought that came out in the 80s. Thought we were all meat eaters till the 80s.
I thought Jane Fonda invented that.
Right?
I didn't even
know.
So, but rolling back to, I'm not going to call her Liz because that's not even funny. It's not even
No,
cute.
her name is Elizabeth.
But she was the 8th of 11 children, and she had, was it 4 brothers, 5 brothers? This is very historically accurate. I'm like, she had like 4 to 5 brothers.
You can look this up.
Yeah, Google it, okay?
Google it. Test us.
And I'm like, this is formative, though, is that all of her brothers ended up passing away. A lot when they were younger, and then one lived till about college age.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so that really like was a gender situation for her because her father really wanted
a boy to carry on, I'm sure,
Yes.
to carry on the family heritage.
So her dad was, look at this note here, Daniel Cady. Stanton's father was a prominent attorney who served 1 term in the United States Congress and later became both a circuit court judge and a New York Supreme Court justice.
So
she wasn't hurting.
High escalon. Is that a thing? Is escalon? What does that mean?
It can be whatever. Yeah,
I like it. I just want to throw it in there.
I was like,
But
this sounds like a vehicle.
it's not like they were, the poor of the 1800s.
They were
either.
quite privileged.
Very privileged.
Yes, and so her dad like really encouraged her to read, and it was almost like a parlor trick, like when people would come over and they'd be like, pick any book off the shelf and Elizabeth can read it and discuss it and stuff.
Yeah, and he focused all of his attention on her, although he did still tell her once that he wished she was a boy.
Yeah.
Which had to hurt. But it made her who she is.
Yeah. But I think the letting her read really backfired because,
Once you're reading, that's what they tell you.
Totally.
Once you get into those books, all those thoughts. That's why they're banning them like crazy. Can't have all those free thoughts.
They were really religious. I have a note here that says this is very footloose. They were the religion. What do I say? Not Pentecostal. They were one of the religions. And it was very religious. And they were not able to dance.
Oh my gosh.
But that's probably where all of her like creative energy came from.
And you know what? She did like to dance.
Did she?
She did. See, you got to watch the Ken Burns special. Little plug. Plug for the Ken Burns special, which is pretty old, but fantastic. But yeah, she was pretty fancy free, footloose.
Really?
She was footloose, fancy free.
She was footloose and fancy free, but
grew up with that deep religion.
She grew up with a deep religion. And then when she wanted to go to college, because her dad made her read all this stuff, they were like, you can't go to like regular college. You have to go to Troy Female Seminary. And that just set her off. I mean, she did go.
She had to. She didn't have a choice. They wouldn't let her in. But that's what sparked this intense, like, this stuff is not correct.
Yeah.
How can this be? I am brilliant.
She's probably like, this is a bunch of bull roar.
Bull roar.
Yeah, and
bull pucky.
She just
she was going. Although she had some colorful language back in the day.
Oh, she did.
Yeah, that's why
I love her.
Makes me love her more.
I know, she's fantastic.
Feisty lady.
The other thing that I love about old timey people that I didn't know is that they studied stuff like algebra, Greek, natural philosophy.
Yeah. I mean, I did. I just thought they were in stagecoaches and like
I know
dirty and took baths with like 1 tub of water. I don't know why. Did I learn that in school?
That's what it appears
That's
on
all.
Deadwood, the show.
Deadwood. So, yeah. I didn't realize that there were like even her. This is how not historian material I am. I was like, oh, they went to Europe like for a meeting. They could do that.
They had meetings in Europe.
They just took a boat. They didn't have planes.
Yeah, they had all kinds of congresses and stuff.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm like, wow. There was a lot going on.
Yeah,
it kind of it soothes me too. The more that we get into this, because I'm like, oh, they went through some tough stuff and had to put up some fights.
Yeah,
and they made it.
I like that. This information is very soothing.
It is soothing. It's like history, how they say If you don't learn from your history, you're doomed to repeat it. But we keep repeating it anyways. So maybe we're just not learning the right things.
Right. Maybe.
Which is why I think this Bible is not all over the place. They've hid it.
That's right.
From us.
And we're bringing it
I don't
to
know
light.
who.
They did it.
Because it is free on the internet.
Well, probably because, like we said, people probably see, they're like, who's going to be like, I want to read that women's Bible.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Like, what? There's only one Bible.
They should rebrand it. We'll make some calls.
Yeah.
So
I think we have a lot of pull.
So she was whip smart. And she studied algebra, Greek. When I read stuff like that, I'm like, I studied business math and, I didn't Greek and stuff. So the other fun fact is she got involved in an evangelical movement while she was at the Troy Female Seminary. And this is the one where her dad and her brother had to like take her away to Niagara Falls. So she got like deprogrammed.
Oh.
And that was also a very like significant thing where she was like, this religion stuff can give people too much power. Like can give like one person too much power and say over people. So I think that later contributed to her like analysis of.
Right. And as soon as one person says, well, you can't do that because in the Bible it says, men have to do that. And in the Bible this. And I think probably by the fourth time she heard in the Bible, she's like, wait a minute. I got to look into this Bible and figure out who wrote it. Because I'm pretty smart. I'm a cognizant human, and this isn't tracking.
Yeah, she's like, I'm going to check the receipts.
I'm going to check the receipts. Yeah. And I got some ladies over here that are with me. They're going to check the receipts with me.
Bunch of receipt checkers.
It's very exciting.
So she gets out of all that business. She's like, I'm done with these like religious zealots. She starts to find her people at Peterborough Estate. This is where, I know you're going to get stoked, Joanna. This is her first cousin, Jarrett Smith's estate. And this is just like
this guy was
a party house.
It's progressive land in the 1800s. It's so crazy. Like slaves would come there. Like there was, everybody under the sun. I'm not kidding. It was crazy.
I believe, I think, the underground, it was an underground railroad stop.
It was. Yeah. Yes. And they would come and, just former slaves that were trying to change things would come to her cousin's house. Yeah. Like these are not your average,
This was where tons of thinkers and activists gather. And at the time when she was started to hang there, the abolition movement was really big. And that's where she met my other favorite lady, Lucretia Mott. Everybody's favorite Quaker minister. And
Quakers. There's a whole nother love.
Yeah, she deserves like a whole other like discussion. But she was a hip lady, and she was such like a radical that she called Lincoln a miserable compromiser because he was reluctant to at first.
He's the man, though.
He was reluctant to at first emancipate the slaves from the South.
Well, it's also who wrote history books?
Yeah.
Men, right? So he probably got a lot of props there just for being, a little bit progressive. But when really the real progressives were hanging out at Elizabeth's cousin's house.
They were doing shit.
A lot.
They were doing stuff. So Elizabeth, they were hanging out. Elizabeth, Lucretia, totally chilling. They're going on boats to meetings in Europe, just like you said.
And it was the anti-slavery movement. Seeing all sorts of people trying to make change. And they went to a meeting. They wouldn't let those two women in. Oh, can you imagine?
Mm-mm.
No, ma'am.
Wrong call.
And that's what sparked, the whole women's suffragist movement.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because they were just like, pardon me? What? I can't come in? But luckily, like her husband, like I said, he was a pretty cool dude. Obviously, her cousin was a pretty cool dude. They were like, why can't the women, like, these are our women? Which also, the Quakers are like very also progressive back then, I think. I like to say progressive because I had no clue. And they were like, what? Women are equals. Not in the Constitution, but in our church, they're they were equals and they were very highly respected and to be treated kindly. So their husbands were like, that's not right. I'm going to go sit with the ladies until you let them in.
Yeah.
And they did let them in, but they didn't let them speak.
Yeah, to the Quakers just made no sense, this like gender division for access or rights, any of that. But so
if the Quakers would have written the Bible, we wouldn't even have to have the women's Bible. But they didn't.
But here we are. But yeah, so the Peterborough estate was a hotbed. And like, I like to think of it maybe as the era's like Warhol's factory, but like without the
because there was artists, there was who was it? Oh my God, I can't think of all the people that were there. Writers, musicians, they would all hang out. And they wanted to change the world for better. Yeah. They could see that things were not equal, were not right. So they were doing all these changes. Women was not their focus, though. Women's rights wasn't even on the table then.
Yeah, not so much.
No.
Not so much. But they didn't mind letting women do a lot of help for the different, abolition movement stuff. I'm like, they didn't mind.
They didn't mind doing all the stuff.
I also want to correct that it probably wasn't like Andy Warhol's factory, because that's like commercial art.
Yeah.
I think I just need to say Andy Warhol. But I'm a fan.
Well,
I love him.
I mean, he's a free thinker for sure.
That's right.
And there was a lot of free thinking happening at that house.
That's what I just loved, all that free thinking. This is also where she met Frederick Douglass.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm. And he was the one that was like, you got a good head on your shoulders, lady. Good thinking head. Yeah. So,
and he's a fabulous speaker. So I think he recognized that in her, like, hey, you fire his soul. Mm-hmm. You and I connect.
Game recognizes game.
Yes.
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 Yep. It's known, totally. So she meets all these people here, and they actually would converse and exchange ideas, and they worked on the abolition movement. And this is where around, was it like 1869, the 15th Amendment, when that was going through, this was the split that Elizabeth had with Frederick Douglass. Or this is where I'm like, I'm not a total historian, but I do know this is where they were getting the right for men to vote, for black men to vote.
Before women, yeah.
And Elizabeth was like, dude, I'm sure she said that too. She's like, dude, what about, what?
What about the women that have been doing all this work for you?
And then,
but
there were, we don't know all of the different things going on. We do know the different things going on at the time because it's written down. But at the time, Douglass was like, listen, this is a very pressing matter, for what we need to do and like for our safety. And so Elizabeth did split off, and she's like, I need to just go work on this women's suffrage stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So there is a little, I guess, a little tainting of, because they weren't fully supportive of the African Americans getting the right to vote before women. Yes. Which is controversial. But it matters.
Yeah, no, it totally matters.
And it is a little stain on their history. But I don't think she didn't support them getting the right to vote. I think she was just like,
she didn't spend as much time. Yeah, that's why I'm like, I'm not sure that they weren't like screaming and like mad and like, doing like,
I don't think
shit talking each other. Because I know Douglass did still like really support like women's suffrage and
oh my God, 1,000%. He said you have to vote. That's the only way we'll change things. Yeah. He was a big supporter of them getting the right to vote.
Yeah. And I'm like, and if you need to know more about that stuff, Google it. No, we should put it
up. Or ask us, and we'll look into it.
Yeah,
and we'll talk
into
about
it.
And
we do.
Whatever you're interested in.
We're just we're just trying to give you little touch points. We're trying to get from here to the Bible. I'm sorry, the women's Bible.
Then we're going to just...
Yeah. And I wanted to say that was...
crunch into it.
Because it's these things that build her up, and like towards the end of her career, she's like, this is what I got to do.
This is what I need to focus on.
So she goes on... So she's like, I'm going to become the president of the National American Women's Suffrage Association. And she does that for 20 years?
Long time. I think it was 30. She met Susan B. Anthony, and they had a 30-year partnership, really. They worked together. They were like really tandem. You hear a lot about Susan B. Anthony. You don't hear a lot about Elizabeth Cady Stanton. because
It's a shame.
it is a shame because she is really the voice. And Susan B. Anthony knew that she had this great voice. But Susan B. Anthony had the data and statistics and things that maybe Elizabeth was a little bit busy with her family. So they would tag team and say, this is what's going on in this state. Because Susan was traveling.
Okay. Yeah.
Elizabeth could not travel.
Right, because she
just kept having those babies.
She did. I know. We didn't even bring that up in this little touch points. We're like, and she had some kids. Moving on.
Yeah.
But
yeah, so they were a great team.
Great team. But Elizabeth, she really is. That's why I'm such a fan. I don't think we're getting to that. We're getting to the expression of why she's seriously a fantastic writer. She's known as a great writer and a philosopher. I mean,
yeah,
she's a genius. But so she goes after about 20 years. Again, after about 20 years as the president of the National Women's Suffrage Association, she's the other thing I love about all these women we're reading. Okay, so she is well into her 70s when she retires in 1892.
It's crazy. Because I thought everybody died at 50. That's another thing. I'm not a historian.
Well, you know how you don't die at 50 is you become a women's rights advocate because all these ladies.
Yeah. They lived.
They lived forever.
In their 80s.
Yeah.
1850s.
I think Lucretia Mott lived to 99.
Yeah. Fire in the soul.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what keeps you living.
So this is really more about your health, this podcast. It's
yes.
How to live to 100.
Because we got to make this Bible resurge.
That's right.
That's our main goal.
So she's well into her 70s. I could probably, if I knew math, I could tell you exact age, whatever. So as she retires, she gives a speech called The Solitude of Self, and it is a banger. It's considered one of her greatest. If you haven't read it, I mean, it's so good because she's just kind of this is what it's about, ladies. I'm paraphrasing.
Google that and read it, though. And if you read that, then you're going to want to jump right into the Bible.
Yeah. I know we keep on being just Google everything we're talking about. No,
we'll put links.
We're giving this.
We'll put links.
No, and plus, we're giving lots of info here.
Yeah.
All of that we just talked about, she did all of this stuff and then more. We just gave you some touch points.
Yeah.
We're talking 50, 60 years of writing and thinking and activism. And her conclusion after all this, the work for women's suffrage is, what's really holding us back? The Bible. It's true.
The Bible.
Yeah. She's this interpretation of these scriptures as the word of God is really a linchpin issue.
Yeah. Every time we're coming up against opposition, they'll be like, well, the Bible says. Yeah. Why does it say that?
So she wants to spend her last working years approaching the Bible problem.
The Bible, it is. It was the Bible problem.
About this Bible
and
problem.
Obviously she wasn't alone because you wouldn't have 22 other women signing on to this in that time when religion really was a part of everybody's life. It's not so much anymore in today's world.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't have religion in their life. I mean, they know about it. They know people who are. But I think back then, that was your life, church and
right. It was definitely
homemaking and things like that. And so to have that many women say, yeah, actually, we need to look into this. We need to do our own writing. I mean, if anybody can revise a Bible, why can't women?
Right. If the guys can interpret it, why can't we?
Yeah, Martin Luther changed the whole thing, and he made a new religion. The women, not a chance.
Not a chance. So she's working on this. And it comes out, you may know more because you may know more than me.
I doubt it.
I bet you do. I bet you do.
Okay, baby.
You, Joanna.
Yes,
Sarah. I forget that people can't see us.
I know.
So the Bible, though, is where she's kind of gets dissed by the suffragettes.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. And I just said suffragettes, and that's not actually.
Yeah. Yeah, remember I learned that?
Yeah, what is.
There's suffragists. Suffragettes was kind of like a dig that some men thought of, but some women tied onto it. But
okay.
There was a split A lot of people did not like that because it was like a dig. I don't know why, because it doesn't sound that different to me. But again, it goes back to we didn't live in the 1800s.
I know, I'm like, that sounds so insulting. Suffragette.
Yeah, and I've always called them suffragettes. Like,
Same.
yeah, so
I had no idea.
we got to look into that. We'll bring that to you in another episode.
Absolutely. I really feel like I'm not selling Elizabeth. No, we're doing
well,
okay.
So they split.
Going forward. Yeah, so they split, and I just screamed. Bringing it back. I'm dying to read this.
You're killing me.
I'm killing you. Okay.
Killing Miss Smalls.
So even though her like BFFs from the women's, right to vote movement, suffragettes and suffragists, she still believed in this women's Bible project. She's like, listen, this is the thing. And this is where I'm going to read you. You're just going to get a little taste right now of what a genius she is. Or do you want to read this because you love her a voice that you...
I have a voice.
Okay.
No, but I do want to say, they split because the suffragists were like, I love that you're doing this, and I love your passion for, finding women in the Bible, but nobody's going to like that because religion is so important, and you're going to screw over our right to vote by attacking this religion that all these people need to survive. This is their soul, and if you do this, you're going to ruin our right to vote. And she's like, that doesn't make any sense, because the whole thing is they keep using this as why we can't have the right to vote. But they, again, because it was such a part of who humans were, this religion, that a lot of those women in that movement were like, we're done with you. Get rid of her, Susan. And Susan was like, girls, I'm with you, but you can't be mean to my gal, Elizabeth, because she got us to where we are. But they were not fans of this women's Bible.
I mean, well, change is scary.
It is. It is. And like you said at the beginning, it questions, it really would question what all their beliefs were.
Absolutely. And this is where, you know what? I think this chunkier, this one. Oh, she licked her fingers.
I did.
The page is getting turned.
Pages turn. So you want to do this quote?
Do this quote, because this is so good. I mean, there's so many quotes, but...
This is from the opening, the
intro.
The intro for the Women's Bible. So this is key, and if you don't read it, this is an important part that you'll need as you follow us along into Genesis. Again, there are some who will write to us that our work is a useless expenditure of force over a book that has lost its hold on the human mind. Most intelligent women, they say, regard it simply as the history of a rude people in a barbarous age, and have no more reverence for the scriptures than any other work. So long as tens of thousands of Bibles are printed every year and circulated over the whole habitual globe, and masses in all English-speaking nations revere it as the Word of God, it is vain to belittle its influence. The sentimental feelings we have for those things we were educated to believe sacred do not readily yield to pure reason. Your thoughts. And it has a hold on your mind, the human mind. Can you believe she wrote that in the 1800s?
And that was 100 years ago. I like 100 years ago. She's like, most intelligent women regard it as simply the history of rude people in a barbarous age.
And I'm like, dang, she could have hung with us right now.
I know.
I didn't know these women existed.
I know.
My life, I'm 50. If I would have learned this at 15...
my gosh.
I don't know what I'd be doing.
I don't know what I'd be doing
I might be
either.
president.
Everything would be different.
Everything would be different.
It's true. But it's that pure, we do not readily yield to pure reason. But we're seeing, pure reason isn't the thing that's going to turn the tide. And that's why we need this podcast to work through it together.
Yeah. We're going to go through this Bible together. We're going to see what they were thinking, see if we still agree. I mean, we'll talk it out.
Maybe I'll be like, I know so much more than Elizabeth Cady.
I mean, we've been alive all these years. We have all this history behind us. We got to know more.
It's actually a little bit depressing.
It is.
I'm like,
so depressing.
So it's been over 100 years. We're still kind of retreading this. But
yeah, because obviously the real Bible has not changed. If you want to hear these truths, you have to get the Woman's Bible.
Yeah.
And
Speaking of,
not many people know about it.
I know. That's why we're here. I'm just trying to do a public service.
Public service.
And you're welcome. Wrapping this up, the most important thing, aside from us and our wit and Elizabeth, is if you're interested in getting a copy of the book, it's free on the Library of Congress.
Yes,
site.
that one is, you see the handwritten notes.
Yes.
And you see the pictures of where they cut out the Bible. And if you're geeky like me, I'm like, oh my God, that's her handwriting.
It's like a Bible collage.
Yeah.
It's like a collage,
They
right?
didn't even use typewriter. They probably had like a little pen and ink. I mean, think about it. It's so crazy.
I think it's safe to say they had pen and ink.
I don't have a pen and ink. I'm just saying, they weren't on their computer. They didn't have AI.
That's right. But you can get a digital copy. Your library will have it. I have a Kindle copy and one that I got to use bookstore. You can get.
Gosh.
They're still fresh off the presses. This has not been banned yet.
No, not yet. And actually, it might start flying off the
I know.
presses again
Yeah.
once we get this started.
Yeah.
You pass it on to your friends. We could all be reading this Bible together.
Right. And we should just
And changing the world.
because it's dangerous.
It's dangerous.
We should have started with
You know,
that.
the world is dangerous.
That's right.
And these free thinking people, they're the most dangerous.
That's right.
Because
So-
that once you start thinking, they can't hold on to your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Once you read it, the mind is freed. Ain't no stopping. Ain't no stopping me now.
And now okay. So physical copy.
You have to get a copy.
Audio.
don't have to.
I'm on like the 5-minute long. I'm like, and so I said digital copy, and you can also get a physical book copy. It's also audiobook. I recommend, now that I have had all the kinds, is the physical copy of the book is so good because it has a little bio intro. Not that you would need it because we clearly walked you through everything.
In our disjointed,
Yeah.
discombobulated way.
That's right. And you can also get the audiobook. Or you can just listen to this podcast.
Yeah. Because we're going to go through it. We're going to summarize it. But guess what? Once we start summarizing it, you're going to want to go get your own copy. Because you're going to be like,
You won't know
I got to fact check these gals.
Yeah. We're your guides here. So next week, we're going to jump right in to the first section the whole first section of the book, which is called the Pentateuch.
We've talked a lot about this. We don't know how to pronounce it, really. It looks like Pentateuch, but
I like that. I feel like I should say that I'm mispronouncing things as like a technique to
Yeah.
get people to, kind of get mad, get some.
I want people riled up, and I want them to email us and be like,
So I actually,
ladies.
I actually do know how to pronounce all of this.
Okay.
I'm just mispronouncing it for that, just to get some.
Riling.
Yeah, get some riling up.
Ruffling the feathers.
Well, we now know the Pentateuch. The Pentateuch is the Old Testament, and the first chapter we're going over, next episode is going to be Genesis.
Genesis, the beginning. Not Phil Collins. Okay,
only
like
this
the
Genesis.
book. The
I mean,
Bible
there's
Genesis.
a lot going on in Genesis. So, yeah, it's the beginning of everything.
It's the beginning of everything, and it's the beginning of when men rewrote the Bible, because they rewrote it. And, man, they just really did a job on the women. You know what I'm saying?
They really did a number on us, and
They
we
did
want
a
to talk
number
about
on
it.
us, and
So-
we have to talk about it, because guess what? The country's doing a number on us again. You'd think it'd be over. The suffragettes did it. But dang it, I feel like we're under attack again.
that may have been went on a little long.
I don't know how you feel. But I'm feeling under attack.
So yeah, next week we're gonna cover Genesis, and we hope that you will return. I am going to leave you with listening to Joanna read one of our favorite sign-off quotes.
Yes, just
From-
in the words of Elizabeth Cady Stanton. Come, my conservative friend. Wipe the dew off your spectacles and see that the world is moving. See you next week.
Hello, listeners. Quick show note. Upon listening to the episode, we've received a little bit more information, and I had made it sound like the split between Frederick Douglass, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, like it was kind of a shake hands and good luck chum type of thing, and that is pretty inaccurate. There's a little more to it. Please do check our show notes for more information about that and to find out a little more about Frances E.W. Harper, who was somebody that spoke out against Stanton, challenged her a bit. So thanks for listening.